Just remember, pain is temporary, film is forever.
Hello, film fans of all shapes and sizes. Welcome back to Film is Forever, the video podcast where we take a look back at films celebrating a milestone anniversary. I am, as always, Josh, your movie apprentice, here with my co host, Niamh, the ordinary film fan. Niamh, how have you been and how much French have you learned in the last couple of weeks?
I'm good, thanks. I have not learned any French while I've been in France. That makes me honestly, that makes me feel a bit disappointed in myself. But oh well. I was eating too much bread and cheese to think about it, if I'm honest. But we're back, and you know what? At the moment, we're being very kind, I think, because we could be out on like in a field somewhere trying to watch this flipping eclipse happening. But do you know what? We're not doing that because we've got a more pressing event at hand here because we're talking about our next film anniversary.
Indeed, we are. And I have to ask just quickly, how are you with body horror?
Things body horror and me is very strange because it's like when it comes to body horror, if it's like something is still in the process of happening to the person, usually if there's like some sort of like weapon or surgical thing involved, that's like a big but sort of thing for me. But if it's like a bit more fantastical, or if it's something that's already happened, or it's like happening within someone, it's like that's fine because especially if I know for a fact it's like I can clock it's a practical effect. Like obviously, I'm aware that all film isn't real, whether it's practical, digital, whatever. But if I like can spot it, I'm like, oh no, I'm cool. This is all right. I used to be much more squeamish, like even just a couple of years ago. I've come a long way with it.
Yeah, I find with like things like special effects, if you watch enough movies, you get to the point where you can kind of clock it. Like that third Terrifier film, people that haven't watched many horrors will cry it as the most bloody film ever. I'm watching it, and there's just this there's a texture to the corn syrupy blood that I'm just like, okay, that's how they're getting away with it because it's quite clearly fake blood that he is doing the angel in. But we're not here to talk
Yeah.
about Terrifier. We're talking about a film that predates us both. It celebrates its 40th anniversary, having released on August 15th, 1986 in Canada and the US. Starring Jeff Goldblum, if you haven't figured it out. This is David Cronenberg's The Fly, which for us too was a first time watch for us both, very much one that I have heard of. And I'll be honest, I was completely unaware that the be afraid, be very afraid thing that I've heard referenced
Yeah.
comes directly from this film. So that's something that I've learned. But Niamh, upon your first watch, what were your takeaways from it, especially with it being a film that's 40 years old and definitely has its elements that have, I would say, dated it, but overall general thoughts?
Well, I was really excited because this is not only like the first time I've watched it, it's my first Cronenberg actually. And I've been meaning to get into Cronenberg's films for a while. Like I've got a lot on my watch list. I feel like next I'm probably going to watch, Videodrome, partly because it stars Debbie Harry from Blondie. And I love that woman. I loved it. I'm going to be honest. I absolutely loved it. Even like the parts that maybe date it a bit more, I still think it made it work as like a product of its time. But even still, like it makes sense why this film is so revered for its effects and its body horror, its practical effects. It looks fantastic still. I mean, there's obviously bits and pieces that maybe would look a bit more seamless if it was made today, but like I think that kind of like the fact that you can still detect that it's not quite real almost makes it feel real. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it's like that. It makes it feel a bit more visceral to me, especially if, I mean, I won't go into it yet, but there's stuff involving fingers that I was not enjoying. That was the bit for me that I was a bit like, woof. But no, I was so impressed by it. Jeff Goldblum, I adore him in this. I think he's so fantastic. He plays, bit more, nervous at the beginning to, as he just progressively changes so much as a person, both physically and mentally, emotionally. He does such a good job there. But yeah, what did you think?
Well, for me, I am not gonna lie. Whilst I definitely enjoy the effects side of things, I feel like there are definitely elements of this film that held me back a little bit. It very much felt like Seth was very flip floppy in his approach to it. One time, like one scene, he'll be breaking down, freaking out. And the very next time you see him, not a couple of minutes later, he's all happy-go-lucky. And Goldblum's performance, he gets a lot of praise for his performance. For me, there are times where it feels like he's doing the same delivery for what should be two different emotional states. The special effects in this really hold up very well. There's something about practical makeup that just doesn't age really. It's more than your Halloween shop affair. It's not being covered by special like visual effects because those haven't really come in yet. That would happen a few years later. But overall, I had a very good time with The Fly. I can see why it's one of those classics, but not one that you see raved about by everyone. It feels very much like a cult classic kind of deal. Going into The Fly, some of my sources from this articles from Den of Geek, Bloody Disgusting, behind the scenes featurettes that you can find a lot of behind the scenes featurettes on YouTube now, which is fantastic. Some references from the AFI catalog and general oral histories. There are some reports that I'll mention, but now try as I might, I couldn't find a direct source for claims that certain articles put out. So I'll mention those with a pinch of salt when I get to them. But it's directed by David Cronenberg, who at this point had done Videodrome and Scanners. Stars Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davies, John Getz, and Joy Buchel. And a little background on The Fly. So it is based on, well, it's effectively a remake of the 1958 film The Fly, which is also based on a 1957 short story by George Langelan, that was published in a Playboy magazine in 1957, which I was surprised to see that was where it got published. But to summarize the short story, I went through like a little summary of it. And to summarize it, it's about a guy called Francois, and he gets a call from Helen, who's the wife of his brother. And she says, I killed your brother. And she gets arrested. But she won't say why she killed him. How she killed him, she'll admit it, but she won't say why. Francois, he has taken her son Henry, who mentions that his mum was getting obsessed with finding a fly with a white head. And the brother of his, Andre, he's the scientist in that book. He had the teleporter, as in the film, goes into the teleporter, and there's a fly in there. And when he switches, he comes out and he's got the arms and the head of a fly. And he's trying to locate this fly with a white head to bring himself back to normal. The son mentions it, and Francois goes to confront Helene about it. She gives him a manuscript with all the answers, and it's basically the plot of the movie. Long story short, they can't find this fly. Helen asked him just to go through it again. That's just reset it. So he goes through it to human her. But unfortunately, he merges with a cat that had disintegrated but hadn't reappeared. And the leftover DNA merges with him. So at that point, he's like, right, Helen, just off me, and tries to do it. So there's no evidence of his experiment. Helen does it. She commits suicide in the jail cell after giving him the manuscript. And the lead character is having a drink with a police officer, shows him the manuscript. He dismisses it as lunacy, but as the officer's leaving, Francois says, oh yeah, I killed a fly today and buried it next to my dead brother. It had a white head, to basically confirm that this whole thing had happened. And it seems that the 58 film followed the book pretty closely, and that was followed by 2 sequels. But in terms of how we get to this remake, according to Bloody Disgusting, co-producer Kip Oman brought the idea of a remake to screenwriter Charles Edward Pogue. And it was them that came up with the idea of having it be a fusion rather than a straight, he comes out and he's got a fly head and arms. This is where the fusion body horror elements kind of first came about, describing it as more of a slow and insidious transition via Den of Geek. They took the idea to producer Stuart Cornfield, and because of the scripts being more grotesque, 20th Century Fox wanted to pull out of the deal, but the producer and screenwriter convinced them that they would distribute it if they can secure another form of funding, which weird enough came in the form of Mel Brooks, who allegedly also came up with the line, "Be afraid, be very afraid." They did bring on a different writer to rewrite it, didn't like it, so Poe was brought back. And then we move on to the man, the myth, the legend, David Cronenberg, and how he gets involved. So he wasn't originally going to direct it. Apparently, Robert Bryanman was meant to direct it, but due to a family tragedy, he took time off and he ended up not coming back to the project. There is a quote that says that Tim Burton was originally lined up to direct it, but I couldn't find the exact source of it. It just seems to be one of those like internet buzzers there, and he apparently walked away because he wasn't known yet. So they approached Cronenberg, and this is where, last week we jokingly said that La La Land was a sequel to our Crazy Stupid Love episode.
Yeah.
This has really become a weird sequel to our Terminator 2 episode because, as discussed in the Terminator 2 episode, the way they sorted out the rights for the first Terminator and the character was Arnold Schwarzenegger got the producers that were doing this movie Total Recall to buy the rights out. Well, Total Recall comes back into this one because Cronenberg declined to do The Fly because he was committed to doing Total Recall. However, he fell out with the producer Dino De Laurentiis over creative differences. It seems that one side wanted to do Raiders of the Lost Ark in space, whereas Cronenberg wanted to do a more psychological movie with Total Recall. So despite 12 script drafts, he departed. Paul Verhoeven steps in and you get Total Recall, but it means Cronenberg can come back to The Fly. So it's a very swings and roundabout way for us to get back to this movie. He came back, rewrote the script, kept a lot of Poe's ideas about the body horror, but he hated the way it was written, so he rewrote the characters and the dialogue. He thought Seth was a very boring character, so he's trying to spice them up a little bit. So that's where you get Cronenberg involved. Casting, alternate reality castings. So some of these I was able to verify through sources, others are just need to be pure speculation. But apparently Mel Brooks' first choice for the Goldblum character was Pierce Brosnan. Michael Keaton, John Lithgow, who apparently turned out for being too grotesque, and Richard Dreyfuss were also considered. These are ones I was able to verify. And some seemingly zeitgeist ones in the ether I've seen listed are Mel Gibson and Willem Dafoe. Not gonna lie, I would be so down for Willem Dafoe version of this.
Willem Dafoe in anything. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just picturing this, like just Willem Dafoe going absolutely insane in this Fly outfit. It would be fantastic. As for getting to the casting of Ronnie, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Laura Dern were apparently considered. Gina Davies at this point only had small roles, and she was actually dating Jeff Goldblum at the time of this movie. Like they were actually a real life couple. They eventually did bring her on board, even though they didn't want to bring her on board because she was Jeff Goldblum's partner at the time. And that was how we got our main two leads. As for the Brundlefly, as we call it, apparently the final form was designed first, and then they worked backwards, breaking it up into 7 different stages. The makeup artist in this that won an Oscar for Best Makeup, rushing ahead of myself here, Chris Wallace was the main makeup effects, and he also worked on Gremlins. And he also shared the award with Stephen Dupuis for makeup. The work they're doing this is incredible, and it's what this film is best known for, hence why it was nominated and won for only 1 Oscar there. That's the general background of the movie, some lucky happenstance. With all that preamble out the way, I think we should go into the movie. So similar to the Terminator 2 review, I've sort of broken this down to sort of 3 parts, like a general summary of the 3 areas of the movie. So part 1 I'm going to go with is the pre-incident. So we open up, Steph is trying to impress Veronica, also known as Ronnie in this film, at this big science gathering, commits her to come back to his place, shows her these teleporters, gets her to give him a personal item, which she opts for a stocking, pops it in, it teleports across the room, and she's like, oh my God, I've got a great story here. But Seth is like, it's not ready yet. I can only do inanimate objects. Don't report it. She tries to anyway, but her boss doesn't naturally believe her. So he takes advantage and asks her to be part of the documentation process. And from there, they get into an almost out of nowhere intimate relationship. Whether it was her big brain play to convince him to become aware of the obsession of the flesh, which is why the computer can't do the disassemble and reassemble of the DNA. We do see an unfortunate inside out baboon at one point, which is some early graphicness in this.
Yeah, R.I.P. Baboon.
Yeah.
He deserved better.
Really did. His brother didn't seem to mind too much, though. But he manages to trick the machine with his new experience of exploring the human body and the flesh. And next time, it works. Big celebration. We also find out Veronica used to date her boss that didn't believe her, and he's a massive creeper in this, is all I'm going to say. Just a major creeper the whole way through. But she goes to him because he gets jealous over her relationship with Seth, because he's threatening to release the story early. Seth figures out they used to get together, get strong, had trauma dumps on the other baboon. Never have a baboon as your lab partner, because having a human lab partner, they might be aware of other things in the room, but in his drunken jealousy, he gets into the machine to test it on humans, which is low-key, maybe a low-key suicide attempt because no guarantee it will work. But unfortunately, a fly that has been built up through some very loud buzzing in the sound design is in the machine. We clearly see it in there, but he comes out looking completely normal. Him and Veronica reconcile. So that's our first block of the movie. Now, Niamh, what are your impressions of these three main characters, I want to say?
Right. First of all, I think that first scene it does make you already think oh, this Seth guy, he seems a little sensitive, seems a lot smaller than this big room full of scientists and this and that. He seems like he's not used to this sort of stuff. So he gets Ronnie back to his place. I do love the whole thing of oh, I need something that's uniquely yours for the telepod. Sorry, for the telepod. And I love that she just gives a stocking. She's like, I don't wear jewelry, and I'm like, that already feels like a little flirty hint. So I was like, I see you. I feel like from what I know of David Cronenberg's films, he likes a lot of kind of, I guess, horny vibes. That's his thing. I'm yet to watch Crash, but I've heard that's very that is the vibe of it. But I digress. I like the fact that I think they explain the whole telepod thing well, thoroughly enough, but not so much. They right, I don't need to know everything about this. Can we get on with it, sort of thing? I think it's easy to wrap your head around. I find it interesting how he gets so annoyed when Ronnie's oh no, but I mean you invited me around. I'm a journalist, maybe I'm going to write it. And he's like, no, don't. And it's I get why he's a bit panicked because he's not ready to talk about it yet because it's not the finished product. But at the same time, she's literally a journalist. Kind of what were you expecting, buddy? She can lie till cows come home and say, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to write anything, but you have no control about what she's going to do once she walks out that door. But I guess that's a bit naivety from him. And I love how as soon as you realize that Ross is ex partner of hers, and he's just instantly so gross. I hate in that scene, she sees that he's made himself at home in that apartment, just having a shower, and then at the end where she's give me the key back, he's no, I'm gonna keep it for old time's sake. I'm literally, call the police on this man. That is so creepy. That's not safe. I don't care if he would say, I wouldn't do anything. Who cares? When you're a man and you say that, sometimes you don't know if you can believe them. No offense.
No, I'm taking. I've listened to enough r/no sleep Reddit YouTubers.
He's just a dirtbag. I mean, we see how kind of he's utilized later on in the film. There's a bit at the end. I guess I won't spoil until we get there. But I guess they try and frame him a little bit differently near the end. But to me, he's out and out just a dick. Like, he's very self-serving until that very last moment at the end. But I like Ronnie as a character. She's not like this perfect, like, oh, I'm so interested in the science of it just because it's so interesting. Like, no, she is like a little bit self-serving, you know. I think as her relationship with Seth develops, I do think it develops into something a bit more real. But I wouldn't be surprised if her initiating the romance was originally just like a career kind of tactic. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. We see a lot of sexy time going on in this film, and it is just like, yeah, this is what's happening. But it still works. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily gratuitous. I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but I feel like it still fit the vibes of, like, especially with what you said about how, like, Seth keeps coming back to this whole thing about the flesh. The flesh, obviously, is to do with the body horror.
Yeah, for me, it did, because it just seems weird that he was like, she's doing this little interview with him, and he's like, I can't figure out the flesh. Like, you get the vibe that he's never been really into it. Anyway, he's being so focused. Like, you get a little bit of backstory from him, from the boss character, saying that, oh yeah, he won the Nobel Prize. I think it was like 20 or something he'd mentioned. And it's just the fact you had this conversation about why do you never change your clothes? And it's like, I just have the same outfit. Like, it just has the Marge Simpson with the dress going off. Like, a nice
little cartoon character.
Fashion life hack there. And obviously she makes the moves, which literally never happens. Well, I think maybe because she does make a point to like be like, oh, it's one of the value of flesh. Like, it felt like she was trying to push something out of him. But yeah, I will say as well, for all the memes we saw of like shirtless Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, it's like, guys, if that's your only exposure to Jeff Goldblum's skin, just watch this movie. You see everything except the meat and two veg. Like, even his ass, you see at one point. Like, this man is. This is a beautiful couple. Honestly, beautiful couple in this film. Like,
oh my god. I kept watching this and just thinking, Gina Davis is one of those beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. Like, just gorgeous. And then obviously Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum. He's just like so distinctly him. And obviously, as we kind of will discuss in like the post-Fly teleportation incident, you see he gets hench.
Oh yeah, stunt doubles and yes, we're going to briefly go into part 2, which I'm going to call the changing, because over time, and I love the way this is set up, like it kind of starts to be set up when he's putting way too much sugar in a cup of tea or coffee in the cafe, to the point where Ronnie's like, you want some tea with that sugar? Like, he's just loading it, ridiculously loading it. He's speaking very fast, which is kind of a Jeff Goldblumism, but he's speaking more confidently, more assuredly. He's feeling more purified. His libido is through the roof. These guys are going at it constantly. The classic, oh, you can't take it anymore. How you got so much energy? How you not try? Like, that is like almost putting a graphic language. But he's like, he wakes up, he starts doing like full-on gymnastics routines, which is obviously a stunt double, but that's just one of those things that you kind of take with a movie. And it gets to the point where it's like, oh, this has made me like purify my sister. It's reassembling as like a perfect human. Well, when you come through, it'll be great. But she's obviously got misgivings about it, and she's starting to question, like, he's starting to have some discoloration on his face and weird hairs growing out his body, some early stages of the body horror. And he just gets angry. He says, like, all right, you ain't man enough for this. I'm gonna go out and pull a random stranger, make her go through. And he does achieve his mission. He goes to a bar, says to Lassie, I'm gonna take you home, even though she's got a boyfriend there. He breaks the boyfriend's arm in an arm wrestling contest with a gruesome bit of like body horror.
It was good. It caught me by surprise. I was not expecting it in that scene. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it just, like, you see the bone come out, and that effect holds up really well.
Amazing.
And despite her partner being completely out of the arm, bro, she's like, yeah, right, but let's go to a few more bars first.
What is she doing, man?
I mean, that's the whole, oh, I'm not a hooker. And then literally 2 minutes later, it's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm down. Which You know what? Whatever. Like, people do that. No judgment, no shame. You get what you get. I mean, Jeff Goldblum's right in front of you. Comes out of a pod to completely start bullet naked. You have a good time with that.
I mean, it's Jeff Goldblum, so
yeah. But even after that experience, even she doesn't want to go through with it. And when he tries to like force it, like he gets very forceful at times in this movie to try and get people to go into the machine. And then we get the iconic "Be afraid, be very afraid" from Ronnie. And once he starts losing, I can't remember if it's his teeth or nails that go first, but he thinks maybe this one MacGuffin I wish got brought up because he did say he'd tape the whole thing for her. I was waiting for a scene where she's watched the tape back and she notices a speck of the fly in the window or something.
Yeah.
But that never comes back. Instead, we get a nice close-up of him looking at the data from that transportation, seeing the second detail, seeing the fly breakdown, and much as I feel like he's very one note in his facial performance in this for the first half, his reaction when he realizes what's happened, that is when things start getting interesting. And that is sort of your middle bit. So, in terms of this middle bit, in terms of the characters, obviously, we've still got the boss man saying some grotesque things. I can't remember what point of the film he says it, but he's like, after all this is over, is your body on the table or something very Caesar Peter, some meat vibe like that. He's just wanting the story, but he's also pining after his ex that is now with attractive Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum, he goes from like calm to yelly so quick. I do like Seth's got an ego. He's a scientist. He's broken teleportation. And Ronnie, she's a character. She's got ambition. Don't think she tend to get into the romance. I feel like the hour and a half runtime this has, it packs so much into it at a very good pace. But at the same time, I would have liked maybe a couple of scenes showing a bit more of a gradual transition in their relationship or just in his mannerisms changing. Because it kind of comes across in a montage way, personally. But what about yourself? This whole like changing and increased libido and fitness and whatnot, right up until be afraid, be very afraid. What were your vibes in this portion of the movie?
I mean, like, the first thing I want to say is in that scene where he's in the cafe, he's going crazy with the sugar, and when he's talking at that rate, at that speed, and everything, I was like, this is literally me when I talk about one of my special interests.
Yeah.
I was like, I see you, mate. I see you. I recognize you. We are kindred souls. Just in that scene, though, everything else, no, don't expect me to be at that athletic level. Bloody hell. He is going crazy. Like, if there had been any, like, how with modeling back in the day, it's like someone would be in an airport and then they'd see just someone who looks pretty and they'd be like, you're going to be a model. Imagine if that was the same for like Olympic gymnast recruiters. They just happen to be going past this window. They see this guy and they're like, holy crap, this guy is great. We got to get him involved. But then, I mean, that could have been a whole different film, like body horror, but in the Olympics. That I think we should have. That'd be great. Like I'd love the idea of like someone like under stress before going like competing in the Olympics and then like getting some like black market, performance enhancing drug and see what happens. Maybe I need to patent that idea, because if this gets out to the right person and they claim that idea, I'll see you in court, because I think that's a great idea, although it might already exist. You never know. Anyway, yeah, I mean, the changes happen incredibly rapidly. Like, it's kind of crazy. I can understand why Ronnie's just like, okay, maybe this whole, like, it's great that he's doing a lot of shirtless flipping around the bars and things like that, but this is already getting old very quickly. I can't go that many rounds. I will collapse. I'm already on the verge of collapsing. Leave me alone, fella. But yeah, as soon as he's like, oh, I'm purified and stuff like that, it's like, I mean, that's always going to sound a little dodgy, isn't it? I mean, obviously he doesn't realize it's coming off like that. He thinks it's like an epiphany, but obviously to anyone else hearing that, you're like, that sounds like it's verging on eugenics, fella. But I mean, that's probably something that the film's trying to say in terms of like scientific, like the pursuit of scientific, greatness. But no, as soon as she's like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't want to get in the telepod, especially because she made a point when she finds out that he did it. She's like, we don't like we've not even got the results about the baboon yet. Like it's like rule number one of science experiments: wait until you've got all your results before you do anything crazy. Like what? But yeah, he is not having that. He's like, all right, I'll drag another woman off the street. Which, like, honestly, there was a part of me that was so worried of like, oh god, please don't let her get caught up, because I really thought she was going to for a moment, and thank God Ronnie, turned up in time to be like, be afraid, get out of here, girl. You don't know it, but I'm saving your life right now, probably, sort of thing. It's just like, oh gosh, it's all souring very quickly. And like I said near the beginning of this episode, it's this bit with like the fingernails. I audibly gagged. I don't usually do that, but I literally I was like, no, that was disgusting. To be fair, that's like a thing with me. If it's like fingernails, eyes is a big thing. But like fingernails is, I think, one of my main things of like, if stuff like that is happening in that area, absolutely not. Get that away from me. But it's great effects and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's not going to go very well. It's only going to get so much worse from here.
I do love that the woman that he just takes on from the bar, like her experience of this film was just being, guy came in, broke my partner or friend's arm, I had the one night stand, I assumed his ex-jealous girlfriend came back, and I got out there. She had a good time for all things considered, apart from when she tried to throw her in the pod. So, she's having a merry old time. But now that Seth has discovered that he is actually turning into a fly, we get through this great little sequence. I think there's a bit of a time skip. Ronnie goes round, you start to see the changes in him. He's becoming like this frail, almost like late stage cancer patient almost. He breaks down, like begs for help. Ronnie goes to, I should really make a note of the boss's name, but I was calling Creepy Boss because that's kind of his character until the last 5 minutes.
Can I just ask, earlier I said Ross. I called him Ross for some reason, because when you said boss for the first time, I thought you said Ross. I can't remember his name. And when I was looking down a bit earlier, you might have caught me, I was trying to look up his name. I don't know why I couldn't find it. Shall we just call him Boss? I'll go with you on that, because I genuinely couldn't find his name.
His name is Staphis Borans. That's what they call him the entire film.
That is not a real name. He's called Boss.
We're going to call him Boss. We're going to call him Creepy Boss.
In the world called Staphis.
Staphis. Or is it Staphis? Like, for someone that has English as their primary language, I struggle with pronunciations so much. But going into part 3 now, which is our big chunk, to be fair, it's the finale. So he's begging for help. She goes away, goes to Creepy Boss, asks for help. She comes back, and suddenly he's crawling on the ceiling in what feels like a very ADR scene. I don't know, there was something way about the dialogue versus him speaking on the ceiling that I found very jarring. Or maybe it's like just old school sound. I don't know if you have the same thing, but I'm watching an old film. And one thing that usually will age a film for me is how the audio sounds, because obviously that is one element of film that is always adapting and updating. Like you watch the first Alien, there's a charm to the old school sound. But suddenly he's like very enthusiastic. He's like, oh, you need to like record the Seth Bug or whatever he called it now.
What was it? Oh my god!
I literally mentioned it in my gut. Brundlefly. Seth Brundle.
Yeah. Great name.
Brundlefly. But yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you how I eat now. I will dissolve things and slip it out because my teeth don't work anymore. And we never see it, but it is set up. But the first one we ironically see watching it is the Creepy Boss guy, which is not at all a foreshadow for later. But then Ronnie comes home and she's in tears. There's actually, I think just before this, there's this scene where she goes round and he tells her to never come back with this nice little line. I'm saying I was an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it, but now the dream is over and the insect is awake. I'm telling you, I'll hurt you if you stay. Very much, yeah, I can sense my animal instincts are taking over now. And I think it really adds to the fact that they were dating whilst this movie made as well. So you ain't really got to perform much. You're literally watching the person that you are in love with deteriorating before your eyes. And Jeff Goldblum, bless him, he's performing a hell of a lot under all his prosthetics. But we find out that Ronnie is pregnant, which, to be fair, not surprising the amount they were going at it. But she's freaking out. And then we get into a dream sequence where she's at the gynecologist getting an abortion, or was it a birth sequence? Whichever one it was, there's a cameo in this from David Cronenberg. He
Yeah.
is the doctor in the mask. Nice little cameo. Gives birth to a literal larva, which I'll come back later on. Obviously wakes up panicking from a nightmare. But she goes to see Seth one last time. He's very much like looking worse for wear now. The effects, she cannot speak enough about these. She wants to tell him, but can't bring herself to do it. He very much says, don't come back here. That should be the end of it. But for some reason, he decides to eavesdrop with her and a creepy boss outside. And due to, I assume, super insect hearing, finds out about the pregnancy. So when they go to do an emergency, get rid of it, because she don't know what's inside her right now. She has no idea.
I was like, girl, do it. Do it.
Do not blame her. But Seth's not having any of that. Where he thinks, and to be fair, valid response, whatever's left of him as the person could be the baby. So flawed logic. Like, Seth is a character that I flip-flop a lot, and if I'm supposed to be rooting for him or rooting against him with how much he flip-flops from the conscious side of him to the animalistic side of the Fly. But obviously, he takes her, tries to convince her to keep it. Creepy boss comes in. He comes down. Actually, before that, he proposes they all go into the teleporters together and merge as one human entity. Very modern day together. We've seen how that turns out if you've seen that together at the very end. But yeah, she's obviously not down for that. Like, he's insisted on just putting people in this thing, and I was just like, no, like, you were drunk when you went into it, dude. Like, what are you doing? But Creepy Boss comes in. He's got a shotgun because he's now seen Seth in this. I would say he's 90% complete at this point.
Yeah.
So he's ready to shoot, and obviously Seth's not having that. Jumps down, disarms him, dissolves a hand and a foot. Now, why is Seth? Because we do see Seth have a little chat with the computer. And it says, one way to override it is to basically go in there with another human, merge with another human, and it will be more human than Fly. So I'll just overwrite the Fly. So I don't know why Seth at this point doesn't think chuck him into all the portals and then go into the other one and that be the solution. But I guess at this point, the Fly had taken over.
Yeah.
Ronnie comes down and begs him to stop. And during the struggle, he tries to insist she goes in there. She rips his mouth off, and full transformation sequence at this point. Everything just comes. The practical effects in this.
He looks so sick. I loved it. I was like, he's really a fly. He's a real fly.
He has come full film as a real Fly. But yeah, very gross slime body horror. It's the slime, I think, that really sells these effects. Like, you could tell, like, 40 years later, like, yeah, it is definitely a special effects makeup costume, but there's a charm in that, and I still buy it as a monster. I'm still grossed out by the transformation.
Yeah.
His arm comes off, like, it's a whole sequence. But he chucks her in. He's going into the other side. He's getting ready to go for it. But creepy boss guy, that we're going to just keep calling him forever, steps up and uses the shotgun with great difficulty, like one-handed and everything, shoots out the wires on Ronnie's side of the pods. Obviously, Brundlefly, not very happy, is smashed away through the glass, but the sequence is still counting down. And it zaps him into the third section, but he is now merged with the machine as well. So he's part fly, part machine, part man, and he comes out less than human. Ronnie's out at this point, and she's like, right, I need to end this because I don't know what's
his misery, man.
But then she hesitates, and then Brundle just lifts the gun to his head. And I'll admit, I was watching this with my housemate because we do a Friday movie night as like a little weekly thing. And like, this got her emotionally. Ronnie can't do it, but then she eventually does put Seth out of his misery and breaks down. And the film's like, right, Fly's dead. We're done.
Literally.
Moving on.
Oh my gosh. I genuinely, like, as soon as that bit and it faded to black and then the title started, I was like, I laughed out loud. I was like, what? I wasn't expecting like a crazy let's wrap up all the loose ends thing, but I was not expecting like a random fade to black after they've just killed Brundle Fly to be the end, but I kind of respect it for just being like, right, okay, we're done now.
Well, I do like how, because a lot of old films would do this. It would just end like the moment that final climax has happened. It would end. I feel there's so many films these days that are obsessed with the aftermath and what happened next, but we don't need to see it. This
No.
woman's gone for the absolute ringer, a horrifying experience. Draw as loose end of the baby, and I will spoiler alert: there was a sequel to this, and I will address that in the aftermath. But yeah, this final section, I'm just going to give my thoughts first of all. Seth, as I've said, I do like Jeff Goldblum in this, but it does feel like his character will go from terrified to, oh my God, it's like, it wants something, I'm going to study it, to, like, I will hurt you, go away, to actually, no, I'm going to try and force you to do this thing. Because it's like a 90-minute film, it packs so much into it, and it's still very well paced. It does feel like Seth flip-flops a lot, and I struggle to really feel too bad for him when he eventually bites it. Like, the opportunity to just put the boss in one of the pods and himself in the other, he could have just been the ex and the current boyfriend, back human, raised the baby, all happy-go-lucky times. But the effects with the dissolving, like, that was horrific. Like, imagine you just watching your hand dissolve in your hat. Like,
it was so foamy. It got so foamy.
Foamy, slimy, like the look, like the effects work in this, well deserving of the Academy Award it received. Yeah, the boss, like him stepping up at the end, felt very out of character. Like even the gynecologist, it felt more like, oh, it's another man's baby, I need to get rid of it kind of deal. But fair play to him, he could have just passed out and just bitched out and just let it happen. But he's like, no, I will save her here. So he says the whole film being a creep with some very questionable language, but he does get a hero moment.
Well, maybe it's because he's like, well, if she stays alive, I can keep maybe being a creep towards her. So, you know, it does benefit him in the long run, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like in that scenario, though, you're not really thinking that far ahead. You are literally missing two of your limbs. But there is a finish for that character as well in the sequel. But Niamh, what was your take on just this whole final block, the rapid transformations, just everything?
Yeah, it really does go from like, I mean, I wouldn't say 0 to 100, probably like 30 to 100, I would say personally. But I love the dream sequence she has, and I'm just so obsessed with the fact that Cronenberg was like, all right, I'm going to cameo in this, but I want to be in the dream sequence where she's like giving birth to this larvae. I just thought that's so funny, and it feels very him, even though obviously I've not watched his other stuff. I can feel his vibe already, and I get it. I would honestly probably do something like that. Like I want to be I want to be in like one of the weirdest parts, because it's just like I'm committing to my vision right now. But as soon as she said that she was pregnant, I was like, oh, for God's sake, no. I mean, like you said, they were very busy, so it makes perfect sense. But I was like, God damn it. And yeah, I mein, like, I think with the flip-flopping thing, I do get what you mean about that. But honestly, like, for me, it worked, because it was like, I guess you could read it as like, it's like the human and the fly side of him, like constantly fighting each other for dominance. I mean, obviously some of it does still seem a bit human, even when he's kind of being like, a bit more malevolent. But I don't really care too much about that. But yeah, like I was obsessed with, after Brundle Fly had like listened in on the on Ronnie and the boss talking, so you knew where she was going to be. And I just loved that shot of her being on the hospital bed and they just crash. Hello, I am here and I will take you, fair maiden, and you will raise a family. Like, it's obviously not good what he's doing, but it was just so funny. Him bursting through like an action hero. I loved it. But yeah, like, oh God, as soon as he's saying like, no, you can come through me and we can place together, or like all three of us can be one. I'm like, no, please, let's not do that. That's a terrible idea. And yeah, I mean, obviously I was in my head thinking, I think she'll probably be fine, but obviously there was still part of me that was like, oh God, I'm really worried for her. Because I mean, obviously she's not a purely good character, but she doesn't deserve any of this. No one really does. But yeah, I mean, that as much as he does, as much as the boss does kind of eventually, causes the event that allows her to stay alive and things like that. There was something about, all the disintegration of his, parts of his body going on that I was kind of enjoying. Like, I know maybe he doesn't fully deserve all of that, but also in my head, I was like, yeah, maybe you do, because you are kind of an awful person. You're borderline / over the line of like, oh no, I can see you like actually like committing murder right now. But yeah, like that was a whole thing. I thought I found it really funny when Brundlefly had been like zapped out or whatever. We think, oh, is that the end? And they see on the screen. I did love that, like, what was it, like Fly and Telepod successfully merged. And I was like, oh my god, are we seriously gonna see him as like part Fly, part machine? And sure enough we do. And it's just a sad sight to see. I'm like, oh, this is depressing. He's no longer a threat. He's just this like thing, he's just a thing. I mean, to quote, John Carpenter, he is the thing.
Yeah.
But just a thing of other sorts. And yeah, I thought like what you said about how, it's kind of a back and forth about, putting him out of his misery. I thought like they didn't have to have it like that. They could have just had like her just do it straight away or have the boss do it. It just wouldn't have had that same emotional impact. I can understand why your roommate felt a bit emotional, because it's like, yeah, maybe I don't feel fully sorry for Seth, because obviously why the hell did he do that? I understand when you're drunk you do stupid things, but I think that's in a whole other stratosphere of stupid what he did. However, like, he is still a human after all, and all he was wanting to do was like find a scientific breakthrough, and maybe his dedication to that was far too much, but it was understandable why he wanted to do it. And obviously he never would have done half the stuff he did here if he knew what it was going to result into. So I do feel like that emotional that addition there really does make it much better. And I thought it tidied up nicely. Like, I mean, we don't know I'd say we don't know for sure what happened with the baby, but you're gonna tell me apparently what was meant to maybe happen.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that in a little postscript, but I do love, like, I think the ending works because they make his eyes so innocent and adorably expressive at the end. Like, it's like you're putting down a puppy almost. And as much as I do question Seth's writing, I do acknowledge that the machine tells him just merge with another human. He could have literally gone out to another bar, pulled another unsuspecting lass that was just looking for a good night, and force them in, because he is established he is now stronger. He's getting like that fly strength. So, but he never does that. Like, quite frankly, until he heard that he was going to be a dad, I think he was down to just stay in that room and die. Basically, it was the vibe I was getting from that scene. But it was I'm going to be a dad. Like, that will do something to your brain as well. But yeah, with The Fly, there's a couple of things I should mention. There were some deleted scenes in this one. Apparently, there was a deleted scene where he jumps off a building and finds there's another appendage of his that is like growing out of his side, like another fly leg, and he bites it off with his teeth. That's something that apparently was filmed, but didn't test well with audiences. And there's also apparently a scene where he's like desperately trying to figure out how to unfuse himself from the fly, that he fuses a cat and I'm assuming the other baboon, which probably explains why the baboon vanishes from the movie. I think it's supposed to acknowledge the cat from the original short story as well. That just disintegrated.
Yeah.
Back. That did not test well with audiences. That made them lose all general sympathy for Seth. So
yeah, I feel like the baboon was enough. It's like we got it. Although I mean, it would look disgusting. It would make me feel very sad. But now all I can think of is, what would a cat boon look like? Cat boon, probably a lot of mush, maybe.
They need to keep the cat eyes. Like, I think you need the cat eyes still. Like, if you're going for the eyes, like baboons has the cat eye, you gotta keep with the cat seeing the dark eyes. There were other interesting facts for the whole scene where he's climbing the wall. Obviously, no special effects really back then. So the classic, what they did in Nightmare on Elm Street, rotating set and had stuff glued down so it wouldn't fall off, which is just the effect that I just wish films just did this all the time, to be
Yeah, it
honest.
still
Like,
works.
I just love how seamless that is. But yeah, going, obviously, it won an Oscar for Best Makeup. Only thing it was nominated for as well. On a budget of 15 million estimated dollars. It made $60.2 million worldwide, with 66.7 of that coming domestically. Scores wise, Rotten Tomatoes from both audience and critic was the exact same in a rare
Huh?
scenario. Can you guess what the percentage is?
Right. Okay. I mean, the fact that it's a classic maybe bumps up a bit, but then also some people, even though they know that they won't like body horror, will still watch a body horror and then say, "Oh, I didn't like it because it's a body horror." Because there are people like that, and it's very annoying.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna be kind, like more on the kind side. I think 72.
you've not been kind enough there. Both critics and audience score is 83%
Good.
as of
Good.
yesterday on Rotten Tomatoes. That's what I checked. Letterboxd, it stands at a flat 4.0 average, which is very high on the Letterboxd spectrum. And that IMDb pops it in that 7.6 category. And I always say anything above a 7.5, you can consider trustworthily is a pretty damn solid movie, and 8 and above are just like kind of amazing. Now, I will get into reviews momentarily, but I will go back to what I've been alluding to. So it did have a sequel in
Oh,
1989.
okay.
The only returning character was, of course, Stathis Borans, played by John Getz,
Oh,
obviously,
for
creepy
God's
boss.
sake.
He does return. Obviously, I've not seen this film, but on the synopsis, so it starts off. She gives birth to the baby, but obviously they actually didn't come back for this role. She gives birth to the baby. It does come out in a larva cocoon, and then an actual human
Yep.
baby comes out of it. And the plot is the son growing up in a facility. John gets his character apparently did not take the death of Ronnie well at the start of the movie, so he becomes an alcoholic. That's kind of his ending of the story, and that's where his character goes. But at the end of the movie, the guy who's in charge of this facility that is like taking advantage of this technology to splice things together, he does what his dad tried to do at the end of this one, pops him in a pod, pops himself in another pod, and they merge. And basically, the son comes out perfectly human, and all the fly monstrous shit went to the other guy who came out as a monstrosity. And that's how that movie ends. From what
What?
I've read on the Wikipedia, it seems to be very much in the Exorcist the Heretic territory. Why it's considered to be one of the worst sequels ever made, but has a cult following somehow. But
Ah,
after my
right.
experience with The Exorcist 2, when I finally did my Exorcist watch through, I'm going to avoid watching The Fly 2 because, good lord, I never want to watch The Exorcist 2 ever again. That film just broke my brain completely. That's where the series went, and there was no sequel to The Fly. There have been some quotes that Cronenberg was going to make another sort of sequel or reboot, and even Jeff Goldblum has said he would love to come back. He knows he died in nothing, but he could be like a distant brother of Seth, basically. But couldn't find the exact articles for this. It's like sort of like your IMDb trivia and Wikipedia article stuff, which when you try and find the source, it's archive stuff, and so it just hasn't seemingly been published properly. It's a lot behind the paywall. And unfortunately, I don't get paid for this, so I ain't paying for all the research paywalls. Reviews. So
Nice
as
segue.
usual, we start off with some of the critic ones, and there were some very mixed ones here. So Milton Schulman of London Evening Standard states, what might have collapsed into another routine horror film has emerged as a disturbing and nightmarish cinema statement in the talented hands of David Cronenberg. Really likes this. However, Joseph Gelmis gave it a 2 out of 4 from Newsday. The Fly wants to be taken seriously as a study of what makes a creature human, but it doesn't know how not to be an exploitation flick, which is an interesting take. But
Very interesting take.
Philip French from The Guardian, as stomach churning as anything, its Canadian horror flick specialist David Cronenberg has previously made. It's a film of poignancy and depth that may need to be preceded by warning flags, but not by apologies. Which I like that quote, especially in the modern day. And finally, Mick Lassell of the San Francisco Chronicle says, I'd have to say the special effects are good because they sure are effective. But after the first 20 minutes, the movie becomes one uninterrupted assault. He was very down on the movie. That's
I
your
don't know if I'd call it that. There's quite. I feel like as much as like the effects are very visceral at points, I do feel like before the third act they do seem very scattered. I wouldn't personally call it a continuous, but hey, maybe it was whatever this person's personal relationship is to horror. Maybe they're not used to that as much, or I don't know. It's all about context.
Exactly. But we'll get to our favorite section, the audience letterbox reviews. So as usual, we've got the witty ones and then a couple of actual they thought about this review. So let's go straight for the witty ones here. We got Mumbles, 4-star. Peter Parker had it easy.
I saw that. I saw that when I logged it on my letterbox today. I was like, I hope he mentions that one.
Yeah. We have a 4-star review from Persia doing the most generic of puns you can do for this movie. Jeff Goldblum is pretty fly for a white guy.
The Offspring called. They were on there. Title back.
Yeah, Persia. Well done. We got Camelot, 5-star. This movie taught me 2 important life lessons. 1, buy duplicates of a single outfit so you don't have to waste brain power trying to decide what to wear. And 2, don't drink and teleport. I would argue rule 3 as well. Don't have a baboon as your lab assistant because they're not going to enforce safety protocols. Because basic safety protocols, it will be like, there's another life form in there with you, buddy. Like, easy fix. And we have Sarah Squirm giving it 5 stars. Cronenberg making a cameo as a gyno, aborting a mutant worm fetus is my sexuality.
Honestly, it's great. I love it.
Letterbox is so unhinged with these, but you guide through the witty, trying to get clout posts. You do get some genuinely thought out reviews. So we have Josh, who gives it a 5-star, not me, different Josh. The perfect combination of an absurd old school creature B movie plus genuinely tragic romantic love story plus the gnarliest tactile body horror rumination on aging, disease, and terminal illness you have ever seen. There was a negative one I found that I was going to put in here, but then I realized this guy's had a hate boner for Cronenberg. The long and short of that review is basically like he sees sickness patients and women as just sympathetic people that have to pay sympathy to the sick people was their point, but it was a very tirade one. So instead, I went for this one from Fefe Castle, 2-star. I'm sorry, for me, this film is a total nothing. David Cronenberg made a wonderful and disgusting human transformation into a fly, but I find this film extremely empty. Almost nothing happens except a good ending. So that just, for me, strikes as a modern film audience that don't like a slow burn that a lot of old movies do have.
Yeah.
Like you watch the LGBTQ masterpiece, The Mummy. The Mummy doesn't wake up for the first hour of that movie. Like, there's stuff happens before it, to be fair, but the actual mummy being awoken doesn't happen for a long time. It's very slow. Don't be that anymore.
I mean, I will say, like, as much as to be fair, obviously, slow burn can be really extended to a point where you can be like, okay, even as a lover of slow burn, you're like, what the hell are you doing? But I'm going to be really honest. If you consider The Fly like a slow burn, like there's like too much, that I don't know. I just I never considered it. Obviously, I understand what they mean of like, it's like nothing happens in like the first act and then things only start to kind of get sprinkled in the second act. So I do get them a little bit, but honestly, like I've seen much slower burns, but obviously that's a whole other kind of conversation and different films and stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into the where are they now. So obviously Cronenberg, fully enough, he's done some acting, and recently he played Chester Danforth in Ready or Not 2.
He didn't. Are you kidding me?
I think the guy who gets his kids to murder him at the start is David Cronenberg.
Oh my gosh!
That's the only character I think that makes sense. But
I had no idea what David Cronenberg looked like. Which, can I just say, as much as Ready or Not 2 was great, first one's still absolutely superior to me, but I had loads of fun. But it's now even better for me knowing that Cronenberg's in it. That is sick.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was a massive fan of Ready or Not 2, but if I go back and rewatch it, just definitely confirm if that was him or not. But obviously, he did direct a few things. Cosmopolis, A History of Violence, the aforementioned Crash, which I think, from what I've heard of it, it's like like you said, it's like getting sexual gratification off of like road traffic accidents or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. And obviously, the most recent film I watched from him was Crimes of the Future, which was marketed as this most disgusting film ever. And yeah, there is disgusting stuff in it, but I couldn't tell you much about it apart from
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart trying to shag Viggo Mortensen and Viggo being like, I'm not good at the old sex. Like, that's all I remember from that movie.
I'm gonna be honest, I never saw it, and all I heard was like mixed reviews and stuff of people like big Cronenberg heads being like, "Oh, I love it," and then some Cronenberg heads being like, "This is not proper Cronenberg." But honestly, when I first heard that Kristen Stewart and Lea Seydoux were going to be in it, I was like, "Can they get together instead?" Because I mean, I would personally prefer that combination, but I mean, you do you, Cronenberg.
Yeah. Well, I would say I would I recommend it? I say it's worth watching once just because there are some. It's like this whole thing about body and grotesque stuff, and there's a guy who's just all ears, like his entire body is just ears, and it's like
I
all
love
surgery
that.
shit. Like you look at Crimes of the Future, Ear Man. I think it's in Ear Man anyway. Like very eerie, very not in the
Very
film, but
eerie.
yeah. Oh,
Nice.
the pun was not intended there. Jeff Goldblum. After this, he is shooting Elizabeth. He had kind of like quite a couple of years after this movie, but obviously he iconically plays Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, Independence Day. He was obviously Lily the Man in the Lost World. Was funny enough Brody in Cats and Dogs, the dad character in that one.
Oh my
which
gosh.
I adore. He's in one episode of Friends. I've not watched Friends, but apparently he's in one episode of that.
No, I haven't
Um,
either.
And obviously, he seemed to vanish for a while, but like a few actors, kind of come back randomly and suddenly in everything. We've had it with John Goodman, for example. But like recently, he was obviously the wizard in the two Wicked movies, Grand Budapest Hotel, Hotel Artemis, and he was one of the dogs in Isle of Dogs from Wes Anderson as well.
Oh, yeah, of
As
course he was. Yeah, and I mean, I personally always think of him as the Grandmaster in Ragnarok. He's so
yeah,
ridiculously funny in that. Like him, all his stuff with Loki is just too funny in that film.
yeah. Gina Davies is following a weird similar. So this was her breakout role, basically. And after this, she obviously was in Thelma and Louise and A League of Their Own, Long Kiss Goodnight. Beetlejuice, she did straight after this. She was, I forgot the character's name, but she's the wife ghost. At the start, she's the wife character.
All right.
She was recently in Blink Twice, that Channing Tatum movie that feels like went very under the radar, but it was a very good movie, I thought.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
But in a similar path to Jeff Goldblum with Cats and Dogs, she was Mrs. Little in the Stuart Little movies, 1 and 2.
Oh my goodness, yes, I forgot about that because when I was while I was watching it, I was like, this woman is beautiful. And for some reason, it wasn't connected with me that she was obviously in Thelma and Louise. So I was just like, I need to look at what she's in. And I was like, no, she's not. She is not the mum in Stuart Little. Oh my gosh. Honestly, if we end up in like a period of time where we can do an anniversary episode about Stuart Little, I will talk about it. Some of it will be in a good way, some of it will be ranting, but I want to do it.
That's plot. So that's 2 future episodes we've got coming up, guys. Stuart Little and Bodies. Those two are locked in the future. Now, Get to play Creepy Guy. Hasn't been in many movies per se. He was in The Social Network, apparently, but he's done a lot of TV shows. You go through it, he's in like a lot of the big TV shows. He was in Better Call Saul, CSI, How to Get Away with Murder, various other shows that I've heard that are quite big, but I have not seen them personally. Wayless, the special effects guy, he came back for The Fly too, so I imagine his effects were probably quite good in that, and he did Arachnophobia. But weirdly enough, he didn't do that many movies after this. Like, there's nothing that jumped out at me as like distinguishing. Howard Shore, who did the score for this, like, by the way, the score in The Fly, absolutely gorgeous, like subtle enough that, but impactful it needs to be. He would, of course, go on and do the score for Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is considered to be one of the best scores ever made. He also did the score for Pieces of a Woman, Spotlight, The Hobbit, Twilight Eclipse, and The Departed.
Twilight mention.
Yeah. And Bouchel, who played the random hookup lady, which, by the way, like, hopefully she didn't get knocked up from this little one-night stand. Oh, right, she had a very good time. She literally, from what I could find, only did a couple of movies. Look Who's Talking and Cursed. Seems like just did Bit Pat Rose, and that was that. That was a lot.
Honestly, if I was in a Cronenberg film, even if it was for like a minor role, I would never shut up about it. I was like, yeah, I was in a Cronenberg film, so shut up, you know?
Yeah, oh no, I always like to. One of my fun things to ask new people is like, especially when they're into horror movies, it's like if you were given a blank contract to just be a random victim in any horror movie, what would it be? Unfortunately, a lot of lasses see they always say Ghostface, which is I'm just
I
like I've got to
mean,
spend my say not Ghostface because it's just boring at this point. I always say I just want to be that dumb guy that looks over a face hugger egg and gets face hugged and chest bursted.
I mean,
Let me be
that's
that idiot.
great.
I would love to be that guy.
I mean, I would personally, I'm not gonna lie, I would be happy with Ghostface because I mean, Ghostface is iconic. Obviously, Scream's a bit, but the look of Scream at the moment isn't fantastic. But that's a whole other thing. But I mean, if I had to choose right now, I'd probably go for something like I don't know, like something really out of the box. Either like a Guillermo del Toro, like, you know, like Creature, you know, like Pan's Labyrinth, or something, one of like the crazy things, concoctions that you get in like Cabin in the Woods. I'd be like the
Yeah.
guy, I always forget his name. I think is it Bradley Whitford's character who's like obsessed with the merman.
Oh god.
And he finally
Yeah.
meets the merman, but the merman kills him. He's just like, oh, come on. Like, that was so sick.
Right, fantastic movie. But yeah, going back to the Screen. Oh god, Screens. So funny little story about the new Screen 7. Obviously, I watched it, and my friend, she was going to watch for a couple of days, but that's like her horror franchise. And
Yeah.
she texted me and asked, "What did I think?" And I don't like to bring people's excitement down, so I just text them saying, "Watch it yourself, make it your own mind." But she knows me that
Yeah.
well. She's like, "You hated it. Tell me why you hated it." So I did. But then when they went to
Yeah.
watch it, I don't have ever seen such a ranty voice note by them. I thought I was pissed about that movie. She was fuming.
I
But
mean, yeah. I think surely, just like even if you're a massive Scream head, I think surely you can just see it's just is objectively not. But again, conversation for another time. It's a loaded
yeah,
conversation.
all I'm gonna say is that when you Ghostface and mask, and my first thought is, "Who the fuck are you?" Something's happened here.
That's a bit of a Scream 3 moment, but it's more that Sydney's like, who the fuck are you? But that's always funny when that happens. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I guess number two, the mother of Billy is like I've not seen you before, but so you say, oh,
Billy's
the mother, I'm just like,
mother.
oh, okay, fair enough. But this person, I was like, who are you? And I was like, oh, it was 10 minutes after the movie. I was like, oh, we did see him. He was the orderly guy. But
Oh,
like,
yeah, it was so stupid.
it was very Scooby Doo, like the guy you meet one time in the entire episode is the villain. But anyway, that is going to wrap up our coverage on The Fly. Niamh, what would you say is the legacy of The Fly?
I mean, like, I think we'd be stupid if we didn't mention the fact that, I mean, it's got such an intense legacy for its makeup and its practical effects. I mean, like, I don't care if some scenes make it, like, seem really obvious that it's like, you know, makeup on there or he's wearing a certain thing. I don't care. It looks fantastic. Most of it, I think, would still pass now. And like I said earlier in the episode, I kind of like when I can see that it's like, you know, been done by a human. I like that it almost adds to the realism, even though I know it's not real. It's one of those really strange things, but I just think it's fantastic. Obviously, like, I mean, obviously Cronenberg had already done stuff. He'd done Videodrome and like a couple of other things, but I feel like this really put him on the map. I mean, there's a reason why it's like iconic, but still, I mean, it's not quite on the really big levels of iconic as some other, you know, horrors, but I do think it's iconic in its own little way, especially in the body horror, the kind of subgenre. You can't talk about influential body horrors without talking about, I mean, any Cronenberg film, but especially The Fly, you know. So I think it's got that sort of thing going for it. And honestly, I would say it has a fantastic legacy for Jeff Goldblum of just like how fantastic he looks until he turns into a fly. Because honestly, if I was Jeff Goldblum and I looked like that, you know, in any portion of that film, I would just be like, well, do you know what? Even if when I get older, I lose my looks, at least I can say that is what I looked like for a lot of that film. And look how much of a hunk I look. So, you know, I feel like that's a good legacy to have as well.
Yeah, for me, I would say that this was Cronenberg's big breakthrough into like the mainstream. And I feel like without this film, you do not get like body horror as you know it today. You do not get the substance without The
No.
Fly breaking through. Like like you watch Substance, like some of like especially towards the end when
Oh
things
my
just falling off
gosh,
the
yeah.
body, like you can see those inspirations there. This was just a very grotesque movie full of slime and stuff. Jeff Goldblum, I just love that they show you every inch of him apart from the obvious section,
Yes.
just so you can see him look absolutely disgusting by the end of the movie. I feel like that is a deliberate choice of showing these two hotties together, and then this guy just deteriorates.
Need to
But
punish him for being so hot. Stop it. And now
yeah,
he's a pie.
literally. But obviously, his hair he pulls off so as well. But generally, this I feel like really introduced the body horror to a wider audience, and it will have put some people off, and some people have just been like, "Oh, it's nothing but gross body stuff." Without looking at the thematic elements, because you could argue it is a case of watching someone you love deteriorate in front of your eyes and how you cope with that. Like if you're on a deathbed, just said, "Look, just put a needle in me. I don't want to be on life support. Could you do it?" Like there's definitely elements to go into that. There was that theme of jealousy with the boss as well, and like some of those, the classic Joker line, people show you who they really are in their last moments. Because for all you know, he could have just literally bled out right there with his dissolved hand and foot. And whilst there are some elements of the film that have definitely aged a bit, because it does, like, I'm not huge on the last that he does pull on the night out, because the whole, "Oh, do I look like a prostitute to you?" I don't think he says yes, but doesn't deny it either. And
Yeah, that was
it was
that was the only bit I was like, I don't know, but yeah.
But he didn't pay her, and she went willingly, and he didn't even drag her. He literally went to other bars with her afterwards. Do love how he just carries up the stairs as well. I can't do this. Like, fine, I'm just going to use you. I'm just going to carry you all the way up. Love that.
She loves it.
Oh yeah, but the legacy of this film introduced body horror to the modern audience, and I see it's definitely, even 40 years later, is worth a watch, because there's effects like this where it's done practically. It just, sure, you can tell it's makeup, but the point is you get immersed in a movie. I love how simple they kept it as well. You just saw brief explanation. Oh yeah, this integrates you, collects all the data of your material, and reassembles it over here. Simple. No big wibbly wobbly, over complex description. Kept it nice, simple, short, like barely over an hour and a half. Like this,
Which I loved, honestly. I'm not one of those people who I don't like it when people are like, "Oh my god, if a film's 2 hours, it's too long." I'm not one of those people. However, I would like to see a bit more of a return of like the good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Because that is true. Some films do just need to be a little bit snipped, but I thought this was like perfect length.
yeah, I argue like a film needs to be as long as it needs to be for the story to be told to its fullest potential. Like if you're explaining stuff too much, cut it out. If stuff's not being fleshed out enough, extend it out. We do get those good hour and a half movies, and then we do get those hour and a half movies that's just like you could have added another 30 minutes to this. It's one of those things. But that is my overall thoughts on The Fly. It's a tight movie. It packs so much in. I actually feel it's longer than the 90 minutes just because of how much is in there. You can't believe 90 minutes has passed by. But that's going to wrap us up on The Fly. So if y'all just here for the film chat, then toodaloo. See you on the next episode, which Niamh will be hosting. But Niamh, I'm surprised you with this one because I want to play a little fun game I might do in my future videos. Take inspiration from another little podcast. So have you ever heard of the concept of the blind power rank or the take three, leave three?
Oh, is it like you see a list and it's like you can only keep 3 and then you have to get rid of 3? Is it that?
Yeah, so you have keep three. You don't know what all the options are going to be, but you say keep or take.
Oh no!
Or the blind power rank, which you see on TikTok, where it's like, oh yeah, but ranking 1 to 8, and then it's like telling you through. So I want to ask you, do you want to do the blind power rank or the take 3, leave 3?
I'll do blind rank because that could get crazy. Because I love like sometimes I'll see TikToks of people be doing like it'll be one of those filters doing like it'll be like 1 to 10.
Ranks, yeah.
I love when people do it for horror characters, but they do horror villains of which ones they think are most attractive, or like if they haven't gone a date one, and then it just gets worse and worse with their judgment, and then they realize what's left, and they're like, "Oh no!" It's fantastic.
Yeah, you always expect someone to trip you up. So the scenario I'm going to present to you with this blind power rank. So here's 8, so 1 to 8. You are an interviewer and you've got an exclusive interview expose with an Emma Stone character. One being the most interesting to interview, 8 being the least interesting, or what you're most excited. Either. But I'm going to name the character in the movie they're from, and you've got to select him. So I'm going to switch this around a bit because I've kind of done it in almost reverse, so I'll do an auto. So we're going to start off with Michelle from Begonia.
Oh, I mean, it's hard for me to say how interesting this would be without spoiling it if someone has not seen, because you really need to have watched the film, I think, to understand why I'd find it interesting. But maybe you don't, because I think the trailer already makes her feel very interesting. I think she's definitely up there. I think I can safely put her at 3. I think 3 is fair.
Michelle.
I know who's coming. I know who I want as number 1 already.
I bet you are. Now, Estella, aka Cruella.
I mean, she's so great. Also, I love her red hair in that film. She looks fabulous. I don't know, because it's like she kind of is like, you kind of find out a lot about her like in the film, I guess. I will put her at 6.
6 for Estelle. Right. Wichita from Zombieland.
I mean, she's so great in that. I will put her at 5. Have I already said 5? No, I said 6.
No, you have said
I'll go
3,
5,
5, and 6. So you have 1, 2, 4, 7, and 8 left.
I should have marked this on like a little piece of paper.
Oh, no, I'm marking it for you. Don't even worry about that. So I'm just gonna mark off ones so I don't repeat ones. Now, Abigail from The Favourite.
Again, another film where she has fabulous hair. She always has fabulous hair, apart from in Begonia when the hair is no longer there. I mean, I think she's such she's such her own sort of person. She's very complex. I would put her as 4.
4. Right.
Yeah. I don't know who I'm going to put as like 7 and 8. So I'm trying to like really go through my head of every person she's ever done.
I know who you're waiting for, so I'm trying to like trip you up here a little bit.
I know. I'm like, oh.
Olive from Easy A.
I love Olive as a character. I think she's amazing. I would love to not necessarily interview her. I would love to just have like a sleepover with her. She's just great fun, and she's everything I wish I was like when I was her age. Because it's the fact that like, yeah, she's still awkward, but I just think she's so cool. She's cool in her own way, but like not trying too hard. So I guess even though I love her, I'll probably go for like 7. Or maybe, actually, no, I'll go 8. I'll go 8. Just because I think no, and that's not a reflection on how much I love her. I love her. I just want to talk to her in a different setting, not like an interview. I'd rather it be like a girls' night out or something. That's how I'm framing it.
No expose here, just an off the record sleepover.
No.
All right, so you have 1, 2, and 7 here. Okay. We're gonna go Louise Cross from Eddington.
Oh, she is really interesting. Like, I mean, that whole film, there's so much going on.
Wow,
there's so much that isn't said, so much that is said about so many different characters. I think she's fascinating. I honestly, maybe I'd put her as 2, because especially because we don't really see her once she goes off with Billy Austin Butler and his kind of gang. Like, I guess if we're able to trace her, I'd love to find out what on earth's going on with her.
You know, the whole family relationship as well. Yeah, relationship with Joaquin Phoenix's character. God, that film was definitely a ride. Wow. So you got 1 and 7 left.
Yeah. Right. I know. I can see that face. I feel like I know what you're going to do, because you know I'm waiting for a certain one. I can tell what you're going to do. But yeah.
Okay.
I see how it is.
All right. Bella Baxter from Poor Things.
Come on.
Yeah.
My queen. I see her as like, she's like my autistic queen. We are kindred souls. I love that woman. I would interview her at any stage of her development. I think she's just fabulous. I will never get over, like, honestly, the fact that she coined the amazing phrase "furious jumping" for that.
Furious jumping.
She's like queen for me forever. That's an amazing thing to say.
Yeah, a bit backstory of me with Poor Things. I didn't watch it at the film festival because I didn't like the favourites. I was like, I'm not gonna like this. But I was told it was very good. I was like, right, I'll watch it when it comes out. Watch it when it came out. I'm just like, I made a terrible decision.
I mean, she worked her ass off for that Oscar. She bloody earned it.
Yeah, I know she got flack for winning it over what was her name from
Kills of the Flower Moon.
Yeah,
Everyone wanted Lily Gladstone, which I can understand why, but like, I mean, Emma does stuff in that film that I don't know if I could see any other actress doing. So I thought it was fair, but I can understand people being sad because they wanted
I
Gladstone to
see
win.
it as similar to the Chadwick Boseman and Anthony Hopkins thing.
Yeah.
Like they shot themselves in the foot by having that on last. But after watching The Father, I'm like, I'm sorry, Hopkins was the best performer that year.
Oh, I saw one clip, I remember, after he'd won, of The Father, and it was literally just like 2 seconds of him crying, and I was already about to well up. And to be fair, I think the biggest issue for that whole thing, I know we're going on a tangent here, but like, was the fact that they had the best actor category like announced last. Why the hell would they do that if they didn't, like, if the producer didn't know who won? That's a terrible idea, because obviously they're building it up like, oh, we're going to make it like a beautiful tribute to Chadwick Boseman, as he deserved. But like, why would you do that? Because then that's not fair on Boseman's family. That's not fair on Anthony Hopkins, because then he's being put in a discourse that he wasn't even aware of, to be fair. Let's be honest. He's just always living, like, what was it, with his cat and his piano and stuff. Every now and then he'll just be playing piano on Instagram. But like, I thought that was so ridiculous that they did that. Like, why did they think that was a good idea? But yeah, we'll get back to the game. That was a whole thing.
Well, that leaves you with your number 7. So only above Olive and below everyone else. Mia from La La Land.
Hey, I'm okay with that, because I love that woman and I think she's fabulous. But I feel like there are other characters that Emma Stone has played that are above her that I genuinely would feel like I would want more of, like, a deep dive into their brain. As much as I love Mia, I feel like in that film, especially when she's with Sebastian, she is such an open book that I feel like you get her. You really get her, and you feel like you get how her mind works. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that is fair enough. But hypothetically, if you don't know this story until you've interviewed her, that's the big brain of the interview concept.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even consider that. But oh my gosh, that's made me excited that we've done this little game. I'll have to put my thinking cap on for next time.
I just really like them. It's not just like, I'm inspired by another podcast. Let's try a little game just to make it a bit light and breezy at the end. If this was, so now you knew all the answers, were there any you would swap around? So from 1 to 8, you got Bella Baxter, Louise Cross, Michelle from Begonia, Abigail from The Favourite, Wichita Zombieland, then Cruella, then Mia, then Olive.
You know what? I'm going to stand by it. I made those decisions and I was thinking about them. And you know what? Sometimes you have to stand by your wins and maybe your mistakes.
Completely understand. A good way to live. Well, that's going to do us for us on this occasion. We'll see you in September for the films turning whatever year old come this September. I need to go look at the spreadsheet and pick my movie.
I have no idea what I'm picking, to be honest. I've been looking at it and I'm really having to think about it, because there's some great ones on there.
Yeah, I felt I need to add a few more. But Niamh, let everyone know where they can find you if this is their first time listening to this little video podcast.
Yes. I mean, if this is your first time, welcome. But also, you need to go and binge the other episodes you've not watched / listened to yet, because they're great. But yes, I am the Ordinary Film Fan on Substack. I do little monthly roundups of, like, the new releases of that month. And then I'll usually do a little post. I mean, I've just released finally my July roundup. So if you want to read all about what I thought about Spidey and the Odyssey and Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, whatever it's called, and you'll see me talk about the Invite, which I absolutely loved. I know you've finally seen the Invite.
Yeah,
it's fabulous in my opinion, but yeah, if you want to read about that, you can read it on there.
Yeah, and obviously I Josh the movie Apprentice. I do round now these days I just do roundup reviews, but because I got my July watches so late, I'm just gonna do a double at the end of this month of July and August,
Do it.
because otherwise it's just gonna be like a 2 week late free film video, which isn't very good.
Why not?
But need to create, finally get some video essays done. Now we're in the swing of things. But yeah, you can find me on the old Twitter, X formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, like I sometimes post on. Usual stuff, but mostly you'll find me on here. Let us know what you thought of The Fly in the comments below. And until next time, everybody, remember that pain is temporary, but film is forever.